Well, hey, I'm Ryan J, and we are live. And so you can comment and ask questions on YouTube and on Facebook. I'm going to be joined by the Emmy and Grammy nominated star of Broadway, film, and TV, Cheyenne Jackson. I love him. I'm very excited that he's going to be joining us soon here in Milwaukee for the 18th annual Bash. It is Friday, June 16th at the Marcus Performing Arts Center. It's an evening celebrating the arts with amazing food, entertainment, and fun, honorary awards, and fundraising to support arts, education, and community engagement programs. And to top it all off, this guy is going to be given one hell of a performance.
Maria, I just met a girl named Maria, and suddenly that name will never be the same to me. Maria, I just kissed a girl named Maria, and suddenly I found how wonderful a sound can be.
I can't wait for this concert. Cheyenne Jackson is an Emmy and Grammy nominated actor, singer, and songwriter. He broke really big on Broadway, appearing in Thoroughly Modern Millie, Aida, Damn Yankees, Into the Woods, Finian's Rainbow, and originated roles starring in All Shook Up and Xanadu and others. On TV, you know, you've seen him on 30 Rock, Glee, Call Me Kat, Watchmen, American Horror Story, Modern Family, Will and Grace. I feel like he earned his gay card on TV there, right? So many more. And also in films, he lit up the screen in the Oscar-nominated United 93. He was a scene stealer in others like Behind the Candelabra, Hello Again, Descendants 3, and more. At heart, you know, he's a family man. He's married to Jason Landau. He's father to the adorable twins, Willow and Ethan. And oh yeah, there's also this that we could talk about, but clearly he's a man of many, many talents. And I'm just thrilled that he's going to be joining us for the Bash and introducing some of his favorite hits to us. Cheyenne Jackson, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me. Wow, seeing all those, when you see all the stuff that you've done, it's very humbling. So yes, thank you. That's a really nice intro.
Well, and in a career like yours, it's hard going through your Wikipedia, your IMDb, you know, all of your credits between stage and big and small screen. It's impossible to narrow them down. So I kind of just picked some of my favorites, but there's so much that you've done in such a short amount of time because it wasn't really, I mean, you were out of high school, right? It was after 9/11, the events of 9/11 that inspired you to move out to New York and pursue a career in theater?
Yeah, well, it was much later. I mean, I graduated in 93 and I moved to New York in 2000, right after, 2001. So, yeah, I was 27. I was getting ready to turn 27. So I kind of, I got started a little later than a lot of people, but yeah, Broadway was always my dream. That was always my focus. And I hit the ground running when I got to the city.
Right. Now, of course, before getting there, I read that it was your mother who taught you how to sing, you and your siblings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I grew up in this little teeny town right on the border of Washington and Idaho. And, you know, very woodsy, no indoor plumbing type situation. It was a great childhood. And my mom is a great, just naturally gifted and self-taught singer. And she taught me how to sing. She taught me how to harmonize, and she just really opened up my whole world through music. So yeah, it's really because of her. My dad was tone deaf. He loved music.
You got that gift. Were they fans of musical movies or musical theater? What was your entrance and introduction to that world?
No, my dad was all about Elvis and Roy Orbison. Elvis, which would serve me good later because I knew all of his catalog. And my mom was all about the folk singers, you know, Joni Mitchell, Joan Baez, Judy Collins, Carole King. So yeah, my first foray into musicals, you know, for a long time when as a little kid, I used to go to yard sales and pick through people's albums, and then CDs when CDs came out, which kids nowadays don't even know what they are. And I remember finding the Broadway cast of Annie and listened to it. And I thought, oh, I could do this. I could sing like that. And so I matched every note, and I thought, oh, I'm going to be the first boy to ever play the role of Annie. That was my goal. But then, yeah, once I learned what Broadway was, and that this was a whole, you could do this for a living. That's my mind just exploded. So that was kind of my focus ever since maybe 13.
I love that. And you kind of answered a question that I had for you, which was, what was your dream role as a child? Because I know as adults, performers on Broadway want to originate roles, right? So,
Yeah.
but as a kid, I imagine it was Annie. You wanted to gender swap that, huh?
I just love the score of Annie. And I think the first show that you really latch onto, I think it has a special place in your heart. Like when I was in 8th grade, our French teacher took us to Spokane, Washington, and to see the national tour of Les Mis. And I didn't know it. I didn't know anything about it. And it absolutely knocked my socks off. And so it was all about Les Mis. Everything was Les Mis. And I wanted to play, first Enjolras, and then I wanted to play Marius, and then I wanted to, all the stuff. And then I would say, like, a few years later when Rent came out, it was all Rent. So yeah. And I auditioned for Rent in New York maybe 7 times, and always would come down to the very end. But I'm not quite right. I'm not quite right for Roger. Yeah,
perfect Roger.
My voice was just, it's too smooth, I guess. I would always try to rough it up, and I would try so hard to rock it out, and that it's just not naturally the timbre of my voice. So there's sometimes, Ryan, you have to say, I have to let it go. But I tried hard.
I hear you. So where was it in New York? Did you do any formal training, or do you just have that, like, multiverse given gift of riffing and great belts?
Thank you. No, I truly learned to sing initially from my mom, and then because I loved singing so much, I wanted to be able to sing all the parts and all the styles. So I really learned to sing by listening to George Michael and Freddie Mercury and Harry Connick Jr. Those were my 3. And I would sit in my bedroom, and I had 2 tape recorders, and I would record one melody here on this tape recorder, and then I would sing along with that and harmonize with it. And I would go back and forth and layer the vocals until I created this big wall of sound. I would die to have those tapes now. It'd be so fun to listen to. But yeah, my training really came out of mimicry and listening and trying things on. Because I didn't go to college, and I had a big chip on my shoulder for many years about that I wasn't professionally trained. I knew that I had to, in every situation, be a sponge and learn from everyone. So for instance, if I was in the ensemble of 7 Brides for 7 Brothers at, Coeur d'Alene Summer Theater, when I wasn't on stage, I wasn't like, off stage messing around. I was sitting in the wings, and I was watching the leads, and I was seeing what they do and learning their process. So I just, by years, taking little bits and bobs and, kind of creating my own style. Then when I moved to New York and got on Broadway and realized I'm going to have the stamina to sing and dance and do all of his 8 shows a week, then I began working with coaches and things and honing what I already had. But yeah, the majority of it was just kind of out in the world, learning, teaching.
That's cool. I think that's a whole other skill that not everyone has, to be able to learn from observance,
Mm-hmm.
That's really, really great. I was a fan of yours before this next clip, but it's something that I was thrilled to see you kind of at the last minute save the show, come in. And I saw this on Broadway with you in it 7 times. I wish I had seen it. I wish I had seen it more, Cheyenne. I wish.
Wow.
Here's a clip of you performing in Xanadu at the Tony Awards. You had workshopped the role. You stepped into the show about a week before it opened on Broadway due to the lead actors, the original Sonny Malone, being injured. And I feel like it was destiny. I just can't imagine anyone else in the role now. You were so good in it. What's your fondest memory of Xanadu on Broadway?
I also believe that show was meant to be, because I turned it down crazily, but I was in a place where I was really, really trying to listen to what I wanted to do with my time and what I wanted to really, really do. I did the workshops with Jane Krakowski, and we had this incredible chemistry. And Jane was, in Starlight Express, and she was this incredible skater, and she had this softness and this sexiness. And then she did this pilot, 30 Rock, and then she couldn't do the show. And I just could not wrap my brain around doing it without her. So I said, I don't think this is meant to be. So I kind of let it go. And then what happened, obviously, James Carpinello broke his leg, and that whole thing happened. And Chris Ashley, the director who I'd worked with in, what was that? All Shook Up. He called me, and it was early in the morning, and so I knew something was up. And he said, we're screwed. Can you come in and help? And so I thought about it. I said, I can't think of the show without Jane. And he said, okay, listen, Carrie Butler is so different than Jane, but it is so brilliant in the most outrageously bonkers way. You got to just come and see what she's doing, and then see if you can get into it. And from the first couple of scenes, the way that she took the comedy, she's already so naturally, beautiful and perky and cute. And that voice is crazy, but it was so different, but it was so winning that I thought, okay, I'll hop into this and just help them open, Turns out his injury was worse than he had, and I guess people had thought, and they asked me to stay on. And yeah, it was just one of those things, I think, where a role fits you like a glove. And to play somebody so unabashedly joyful, dim, but single mind, just so focused on opening this roller disco and creating art. I just thought it was so pure and such a fun score. The most incredible cast. Memory. You asked one of my favorite memories. That night.
Oh yeah.
Well, I think I think Radio City singing at the Tony Awards was my favorite memory, because it was the culmination of, God, a year and a half of that show. This little teeny show that just slowly inched its way up, and it was like a hot little ticket. And I wasn't nominated for a Tony, which was so devastating at the time, because everyone was saying, this is your moment. You're a shoe-in, kind of thing. And then it didn't happen, and Carrie got it. And I was so happy for her and so happy for the show. But then when they chose my song to sing at the Tony Awards, I thought, okay, this is, I may not have a nomination, but I'm going to show them why I should have had a nomination. That was my inner thing. And then also throughout the course of the run, I had these very short shorts, but they, Gene over time, like it gets shorter and shorter, the fringe. And so yes, there they are. And for the Tony Awards, they gave me this really long pair backstage. And I was like, what are you doing? The whole marketing of the show up until this point has been kind of like, you're using my body. Happily so. So I was like, this is not the time to shy away. So I found my tiniest ones. I hiked them up. Me and Curtis Holbrook did 100 push-ups backstage. And I just thought, this is my moment. I'm going to go out there and do my thing. So yeah, that was probably my favorite moment.
I love that. I want to get back to Xanadu in a second, but Dan was asking if you've ever been to Milwaukee before.
I was thinking about that before this. I must have, but I honestly cannot remember. So I wish I had a better answer, but I'm very excited to go. And I didn't know there are no direct flights to Milwaukee
there used to be. I lived 13 years in New York and used to fly back and forth, and I think it changed around the pandemic slightly before.
Oh, okay.
Quickly, lastly about Xanadu before we move on. We're the same age. I'm a few months older, but like, did you grow up loving the movie as much as I did?
You know, I never really saw the movie growing up. Yeah, it was a little, my parents were very Christian and there was certain like secular stuff we weren't really allowed to. So it wasn't even on my radar until maybe when I was 18 or 19, I heard it and saw it and just loved
Yeah.
Olivia John. And yeah,
Okay. Because I think what's so great about the show is if you've seen the movie, it's so funny. It works as a comedy and it's hilarious because it's so campy without having seen the movie. But when you have all those inside jokes as reference to the movie, it's so much more fun.
Yeah.
Still. All right, let's take a look at another clip of yours that I think proved again to the world why you are so deserving of not only a Tony nomination, but let's say a win or multiple.
I look at you and suddenly something in your eyes I see soon begins bewitching me. It's that old devil moon that you stole from the skies. It's that old devil moon in your eyes.
This is another one. I was watching the whole performance here and I kept picking different 30-second clips that I wanted to show. I couldn't settle on it. I was like, I'm wasting way too much time trying to figure out the best part of Cheyenne in this. And you're just so good. Let's talk about Finian's Rainbow.
Sure. Yeah, Finian's Rainbow was just a huge surprise to all of us because it was kind of, we were one of the first to kind of come from encores and then actually transfer right to Broadway. You know, kind of now that's the template and that's the hope, right? With like Into the Woods recently, which I was so happy to be a part of this last summer briefly. But yeah, it was such a little jewel of a show. And we were coming at a time right out of the recession and things were kind of grim. And I remember just singing the score and the way people were responding to its simplicity and to its joy. And Kate Baldwin, you know, again, I always seem to be paired with these amazing women who are blossoming, and then I'm with them when it's happening. It happened with Carrie Butler doing Xanadu, and it happened with Kate Baldwin as well.
And Kate's from here.
Yeah. Oh, is she? Oh,
yeah.
I think I knew that. Yeah. But watching Kate blossom and watching everybody really, frankly, just kind of get on board with this incredible talent. And yeah, it was just so magical. That score, I always said it was like, to Rob Berman, who was our music director, it felt like vocal massage. Like it wasn't, if you were in the zone and if you were warmed up, you didn't have to press, you didn't have to push. And just the melodic lines and the storytelling was beautiful. And so, yeah, that was such a treat.
Yeah. I love it. I love that score specifically. Can you comment on your thoughts of lyricist Yip Harburg?
I mean, some of those, the lyrics were very, very, especially in, what was the leprechaun's name? Chris Fitzgerald. Og, I think the character's name is. I haven't thought about that show in a while. So clever, so unexpected, and then just so clean and clear. I think so many times, especially I find it in newer composers, they feel like they have to overwrite. And I understand the urge because I also songwrite, and I know that you think you need to create a thought and say something in the most profound way. But sometimes the most profound way is the simplest way. And that's where I think the show really, really shone, was the marriage of the lyrics and the music.
Mm-hmm. Something else that Yip Harburg wrote that I'm hoping had an effect on you, I think it did, is, of course, the lyrics for Over the Rainbow and all the songs in The Wizard of Oz. How has that influenced you or your career?
I mean, The Wizard of Oz was one of the first movies I can remember watching annually with my mom and dad. We would watch that, and we would also watch It's a Wonderful Life. But yeah, The Wizard of Oz, I mean, forget about it. I remember trying to create my own little yellow brick road, and yeah, there's something so crazy timeless about it. And I was so excited to have kids and to show them all of the movies that I grew up with, and hopefully they would have a similar reaction and response. And they, of course, flipped. And so, yeah, for Halloween, we had to all go as characters from Wizard of Oz. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And have you ever performed Over the Rainbow?
I don't think I have. I think I've maybe done it in like a group choir setting or something, but no, I haven't.
Because I do think,
Oh no, I was gonna say it's so done, and it's so beautifully and often done. Sometimes I'm like, oh man, what could I do to make it different? But yeah, maybe it's time to look at that. I mean, it's just so gorgeous.
I mean, I'm open to hearing you sing that, Cheyenne. But in the meantime, I did uncover this connection between you and Over the Rainbow.
On the steps of the edge, nothing left, no more breath to sing over the rainbow.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
I
right?
Yes, very, very astute. So I love that you picked up on that. No, hardly anybody does. I don't think anybody ever has said that to me. In the background vocals of that, you can barely hear it, but it was just like a little fun thing for me. I had the harmony goes over the rainbow, just to marry those two melodies. But yes,
I love that.
Well done, Ryan.
Yeah, well done to you. I love that you are just honoring it that way, and that's beautiful. You know, when a Broadway star makes it, and it might have been that Tony performance or something else, and your connection to Jane working at 30 Rock, they go off and do TV and they do and movies and the rest of it. And you certainly are no exception to that very popular star turn. But you did Glee with Ryan Murphy, and then you had this great run on American Horror Story. And I know you could come back at any time, but can you name the 4 titles or subtitles of the 4 seasons of American Horror Story you were on?
Oh God. Oh yeah. American Horror Story Hotel, Roanoke, Cult, and Apocalypse.
Well done. Very good. Very, very good. And then the other thing that I enjoy so much, I don't know why, I think it was like one weekend I was homesick. And well, listen, there's no shame in it. Why does that have to be the case? These movies are great. The Descendants movies. And you as Hades in Descendants 3 were a lot of fun. You know, you got to play the estranged hubby to Kristen's Maleficent and Dove's father as Hades. Did you know that there's a life-size cutout of you?
I did. There's a few people have sent me pictures of them with that. That's fun. You know, of all the things I've done, that's maybe one of my favorites, because the people that come up to me are little kids. And, you know, I basically look the same as I do in that movie. So people, except for the hair, so people, you know, now that my kids are in school, I watch the little kids sometimes, they look at me and they can't figure out what it is. And then like my daughter will say, he was Hades. And their faces, it's so cool. Yeah, that was really fun.
It's fantastic. I love seeing you and Kristen. I want to breeze through some of this. You did Into the Woods a couple times, Hollywood Bowl. There you are with Shanice Williams, who was Dorothy in The Wiz Live, and then you filled in for Gavin on Broadway in the recent revival. I know it's been very popular. But let's talk about what you're going to be doing at the Bash coming up on Friday, June 16th here in Milwaukee, to celebrate the arts and education and programming here at the Marcus Performing Arts Center does so great. So great. In addition to all the Broadway stuff you've done, you have tapped into this great versatility in your voice. You have several albums out. There is the Michael Feinstein, The Power of Two, Feinstein, Power of Two, I'm Blue Skies, Renaissance, bunch of singles and music videos. I want to ask, where's the Cheyenne Jackson Christmas album?
I know. That's what my mom asks me every single day. I probably will do one. I'm sure I will. I do love Christmas music. As soon as Thanksgiving's over, it's boom, Christmas music on in the house. Yeah.
Well, what can we look forward to seeing you do at the Bash? Is it going to be a mix of styles, or do you have a plan?
You know, honestly, I'm excited to sing. I haven't really sung in a long time, and I've been on this TV show for 3 years, and I've done maybe like one concert a year. So I've been enjoying looking through old set lists and trying to morph and make it, because it's 45 minutes. It's only 45 minutes. So I have to really find my favorite things, but also not just throwing things at the wall. Right now, me and Willie, my music director, are in the final stages of picking. But I mean, it's definitely going to be Broadway centric. But I want to throw in a couple surprises. I'm excited. I love the arts. I love arts education. My sister and her husband are both teachers, and music and the arts is what really pulled me out of my little hometown that I didn't really feel a real true part of for a long time. So I'm excited to come, excited to sing.
Well, I'm really grateful to you for bringing your star power here to the city, because I'm born and raised here, went and worked many years, still have an office in New York for my radio work, where I'm nationally syndicated on TV here. But for me, in this community where you're helping build the arts education, it was the same thing. It was musical theater that saved my life many times. And I'm still a big the community here that way. And so I'm so appreciative. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today.
Right.
And I'd like to let everyone know that they can follow you on social. You're on Instagram at Mr. Cheyenne Jackson. And please think about joining us at the 18th annual Bash. It's going to be Friday, June 16th. Tickets are available for the full event, including dining. And there are also tickets available if you want to just come and see Cheyenne's great concert for that portion of the night. Head on over to marcuscenter.org/bash. Cheyenne Jackson, thank you so much.
Thank you, Ryan. Really, really cool. Appreciate this.